Unaenda wapi wewe? Ti.
Kuja hapa. Natoka huko nje hapa ni kwa kiboko. Bad manners. Sasa kitu ufanye.
You have not even read today. You know that.
Kisha umwalike speaker.
Tafuta vitabu msana. Wakisema hivyo na nyinyi mnaangalia macho hivi nafikiri mnasomea wapi? Alright guys, welcome to Edutainment for Us. Let's go for a social kind of reaction. So it's quite a calamity in Kenya currently with the floods that are going on in Nairobi. So yesterday it was too much for many residents in Nairobi, and of course not just residents. Some people are traveling, they were trapped. We had others in business, they are actually messed up. And it's such a tragic. Actually, Nairobi, when it floods, you end up having a lot of problems because the drainage system is very poor. The other thing is the crowded places. Construction itself, when people are constructing, they don't really care where the sewerage goes. So once there are floods, as the current situation is, you tend actually to have a very much polluted environment. And of course, remember in Nairobi, many people kind of walk to the stages to work. So guys, it's unfortunate what happened in Nairobi today. And the fear is that even though most media houses are saying that the dead people are 10 and those who are affected are maybe 30 and the vehicles that were actually carried away are 10, it's more than that. It's more than that. So guys, subscribe to this channel, Edutainment for Us. We are here to bring news sometimes to you. We bring vlogs, we bring reactions. Now, many people are actually blaming whoever has ever been a governor in Nairobi because in the first place, they are supposed to be in charge of the drainage. But when you look around, the drainage system of Nairobi is very poor. Very poor. Of course, especially the slums and slum areas are populated. Most of those places are quite unsuitable for human beings. But unfortunately, in Africa, you don't have a choice, or in Kenya rather. Now, remember, many people in Nairobi just hustle around. They go about every day to sustain themselves. Now, my outlook at this is, now what is happening to them? Because you cannot go about looking for jobs when things have been swept away. For some who actually conduct businesses, I want you to look at this. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because this kind of floods happen in Nairobi in, I remember it was 2014, 2015. And it was quite tragic. You'd come out of the house and you can't step anywhere. Water is all over the places. You are floating in water. Water is actually reaching your waist or more. And if you don't know how to swim, automatically something like that pushes you to death. Now, of course, let's look at this, and it's so bad. What happened in Nairobi is so bad. Let's start with how businesses have been ruined, guys. It's unfortunate. So you look around in Gikomba, you won't like it. You won't like it as people go back to their places of work and find this kind of scenario. I don't know what you think about this, but it is tragic, actually. So let me bring how this has been destructive. Maybe you'll just see different scenes so that you understand the state of affairs. And it's not a very good situation. Of course, let's start with Sultan Hamud. The road was cut off, Mombasa Road, remember? It's a major highway that is used by a lot of people. Now see what happened. And Kenya is still warning on more floods. So see this. Caitlin, welcome. Thank you so much for showing up on the channel on this disastrous moment for Nairobi residents. It's not good at all. Just see the situation there. That's Mombasa Road. At Ahamud Sultan, vehicles were actually going across, and then they found a road that was cut. Lexia, welcome. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you, Caitlin. Lexia, hello. Now look, people are traveling, but they don't know what is ahead. In front of them, there is a problem. Look at that. Okay, so that is one of the effects of flood that happened in Nairobi. And the aftermath is a sad situation, very sad. Look at that. That's water. That is water on the left. No, on the right, right? On the right, that is water. And the road has been cut partly. Look at that. Look at that. So you can see some people had to turn back. Some people had to turn back on the road because they couldn't actually dare the waters. You know, water is never our friend. If you remember something that happened in Mutongwe, you will understand what this is. And of course, there were floods also I guess last year, right? Somewhere around February. And so many people died. Of course, even somebody from the place I currently stay, actually was carried away with by water after just dropping a friend. So floods are not a laughing stock, you know. Now, cars were actually submerged in the CBD after that heavy downpour of Friday. I want you to see this. Just look at this. This is the Nairobi CBD. You can see people are literally struggling. They have umbrellas. The water is so much, reaching almost the knee. So you don't know where you're stepping, whether it's a hole, whether it's a flat surface. And cars were, you see the wheels, halfway they were submerged in the waters. Now it's because of the poor drainage in Nairobi City. For those who have been there, you know. But you can never understand when it's not flooded. Now look at this. Some of these are shops which were totally submerged. These are shops, you know, hotels. Water was flowing in, you know, because of the poor drainage. So count the losses. See the rivers here. This is almost Mavoko area. You can see this Mavoko area, water all over the place. The streets turned rivers after the rain, all right? So this is the Nairobi streets turning rivers after the rain. Scary, right? Very scary. Very scary. See that? And the rains have been here for about 2 weeks continuous, but Nairobi has been worse with rain coming down. All right? So people are driving. They don't know whether to actually drive ahead or go back. But remember, maybe your home is in front. So scary. Look at the CBD. That is water in the CBD. Imagine. After the rains, you don't know how to actually step up and go home. Look how scary it was. So scary, right? Look at the people there. People had to hold each other's hands to cross over after they were coming out of the windows of the vehicles because they felt like they could be carried out. This is right near Gikomba. You see that bridge over there? Totally flooded. The water was reaching the knees level. See that? Some people had to leave their motorcycles in the rains. Yet it's almost dark. Look at that. Look at that. So it was such a a bad scene, and people are pointing fingers at the governor because they believe the governor has done very wrong, actually not working on the drainage system of Nairobi, guys. Do you believe that we are supposed to blame the governor for that? I don't know what your thought is, but let's continue seeing more examples of the damage that the rains caused in Nairobi. Yeah, so at some point, even on Ahmad Sultan Road, people had to come out of the vehicle again because the road had almost been cut. All right, you understand the scenario if you've ever been in one. There is a time I was in Coast and there were floods. I didn't like it because there was a shop, computer shop. Somebody had closed the doors and the waters came in through the windows. I'm telling you, it's not a good scene. Now, this was the night of floods and a very dramatic moment after the night at the CBD. Look at this. Look at how the vehicles were submerged. Look at that. People are walking, carrying each other. Now, actually, this is where now swimming is not a prestige. It becomes a need. Can we say a need? It becomes a necessary skill for survival. Because if you know how to swim, at least you are sure, even if you fall off, you will swim. But if you don't know how to do it, then what? But again, there are areas in Nairobi, even if you know how to swim, guys, they are so deep, so they were covered with a lot of water. Look at that. And it's in the dark. It's in the dark. Just see this. It's quite, you can see some vehicles are almost submerged, totally submerged, not even almost, totally submerged. Guys, look at that. According to statistics, 70 cars were carried away by the water waves. Look at that. Now, you people, what will you say? Because when it happened in the Gulf, people are saying that it's because God is teaching them. They competed in creating clouds and something like that. But now in Kenya, nobody has done that, but it's here. So these are natural disasters that we may not blame anybody for. Just see that. Those are cars that have been submerged, carried away by the currents of water. Look at the number of vehicles right there. Some people are actually electrocuted in the process because they were stuck at some points where there were rains. Electricity wires were actually stepping down, and therefore they died through electrocution. Others were actually carried away by the water currents and had to die. Then there are those who actually stuck in the vehicles, the cars, they could not come out. Now, many were feared dead on Kirinyaga Road. I don't know what the government is going to do out of this. And the floods did not just start yesterday. Of course, it was something that was a signal since last week. But the president, Sakaja and all that, they have been out to destroy people's business premises. Of course, you saw at Roysambo recently, you know. So looking at that, it is such a critical moment in Nairobi. very critical. And of course, more bodies were discovered on Kirinyaga Road. And protesters actually came out to shout. It is quite actually look at this. So these are people who are agitated. These are Kenyans who are protesting or who are having a riot, kind of communication with the police. They are asking why the government has not sent vehicles to come and pick the bodies. This Road, there were massive floods, vehicles were swept away, and the people brought 3 bodies here, and they are angry that the police is not doing that. All right, so as far as only 10 bodies had been announced early, more bodies were discovered, especially Kirinyaga Road, and people had to carry those bodies and bring here and riot because the police were not actually taking any interest in whatever is happening. So people came on the streets to riot and ask what the government is going to do about this. So 10, as far as they said 10 bodies and 71 vehicles were trapped, they were more than that, guys. So because some other bodies were discovered later, Now, of course, it just comes at a time when Sakaja is almost being impeached, right? So let's see this. Alright guys, so as you can see, it was not a good scene at all. Of course, many people are swept in Kirinyaga Road after the heavy rains. But unfortunately, the police were taking a lot of time, kind of negligence. They were not taking the bodies away, and so people decided to riot on Kirinyaga Road and block the roads so that they carry away the bodies. Of course, it was not just one corpse or two. They said several had been swept in the cars. And just the few 10 that they were displaying online were among them, but we have so many other people who might actually have lost their life. It's unfortunate, guys. Alright, so as we go by and inform you, let's keep subscribing to Edutainment for Us. And thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your love and understanding. So, of course, Sakaja, who is the governor of Nairobi, is under fire for this. Look at that. Look at that.
Nairobi is drowning, not metaphorically, literally. The capital of Kenya has turned into a city of rivers, sewage streams, and stranded vehicles and people. Major roads have vanished under muddy water. Businesses are flooded. Homes are flooded. Commuters are trapped. And as the rain keeps pounding the city, one name is being shouted across social media and the streets: Governor Johnson Sakaja. Nairobians are asking a brutal question. Is the governor asleep at the wheel while the capital sinks? Because what we are seeing on the streets right now looks less like a modern African capital and more like a city swallowed by its own neglect.
Sakaja, Nairobi. Hapa. Yes, tunaitwaje? Oh. This is Raila Odinga we, ama Mbagathi we ukipenda. Sasa uko mbele kuendeki, nyuma kuendeki. The bus, the station bus. Sangapi, hii usiku.
Heavy rains sweeping across Nairobi in March 2026 have triggered widespread flooding across the city. Roads in several neighborhoods have been overwhelmed by water, garbage and debris, leaving motorists stranded and residents wading through dirty flood water. In multiple areas, vehicles have been stalled in brown torrents while traffic crawls at snail's pace. Viral videos circulating online show entire sections of the city transformed into canals, with frustrated drivers honking helplessly as rainwater swallows the road. The situation has sparked a political firestorm, and at the center of that storm is Governor Johnson Sakaja. Take Langata Road, one of Nairobi's most critical transport arteries. Today it looks like a swamp. Cars crawl through knee-deep water. Matatus splash through potholes turned into miniature lakes. Pedestrians are forced to tiptoe through muddy currents, carrying floating plastic bags and trash. What should be a bustling corridor of commerce has become a waterlogged maze. Businesses along the road report flooded entrances and damaged goods. Small traders say they are losing income by the hour. For thousands of Nairobians trying to travel, the commuters become a gamble. One commuter summed it up bluntly online: forget cars. At this point, we need canoes.
Wow. Twende. Ngoja iende, ngoja gari iende. Ngoja gari iende. Pole. Ati wapi? Ati huku ni wapi? Huku ni wapi? Na wewe ni nani?
The political lives are now out. Embakasi East MP Babu Owino has launched one of the fiercest attacks on the county government yet. He didn't mince his words. According to Owino, Nairobi's flooding disaster is not simply bad weather, it is a failure of leadership. His criticism focuses on what he calls the collapse of the city's drainage system, overflowing storm drains, broken infrastructure, and roads that crumble with every rainy season. And he warns that the consequences are bigger than inconvenience. Flood water mixed with sewage creates the perfect breeding ground for diseases like cholera and malaria. A public health.
Last night, heavy rains hit Nairobi, and this morning, the city is waking up to flooded roads, stranded vehicles, and businesses struggling to operate. In many areas, roads have turned into rivers, forcing pedestrians and drivers to navigate dangerous conditions. Today, we are on the ground to show you the real situation, the aftermath of the heavy rains, and how it's affecting everyday life in Nairobi. If you're here for the very first time, subscribe, like, and share this video.
Alright guys, so it was not laughter at all, but a serious situation in Nairobi City. And I wanted to show you something about Gikomba. Let me see whether I can access this video.
Thanks very much, Kate. The whole night and up to now. So this is a clear indication that most probably the situation was worse. That is a kitchen that has been submerged all the night up to now, and there is nothing that can be able to be salvaged. Apart from that, we have seen also the infrastructure within the school being really affected. This is a clear indication of how the impact of last night's flood have really affected many parts of Nairobi. And if you can see that such a school has gone into totally a state where it cannot be able to operate, then this is a clear indication of how the impact was really. And I want to speak with the teacher in charge of this school to tell us really what happened last night. We have seen the school and maybe the students. Where are they right now? Let's begin with your name.
Yes, I'm Madam Grace. I'm the HOI, St. Elizabeth Comprehensive School. The school has a total population of 2,200 learners, right from the ECD to grade 9. And the school is sponsored by the Catholic Church under the Sisters of Mercy, who provide a lot for the school. The school has experienced a lot of damage. You can see how the books have been damaged. The offices have also been, the files in the offices have all been destroyed. All our checkbooks, our cash books, our computers, our printers, we don't know where to start.
What do you think should be the lasting solution to this?
Yes, the lasting solution is because of the Ngong River, because we have people who have constructed houses near the Ngong River that pushed the river towards the school, and it becomes difficult for the water to flow freely. So I would urge the government to see a lasting solution whereby the river is pushed or is directed to its course. And also we want to be assisted to be constructed a retaining wall whereby even if we have flooding, the water does not get its way to school. And we pray that the government is going to hit to this, and all those ones who are supposed to help the school should come to our aid.
So guys, you heard about the solution, having a drainage. And of course, as she said, some of the places have been over-constructed, so it has affected the flow of the river and all that. And away from that, of course, there is negligence on the side of the leaders. Now, I just wanted to show something about the people at Gikomba. I saw something interesting here, as Kenha keeps warning on what will happen more.
Let's move on to...
Let's check on this.
That swept across counties. In Kericho, passengers had to jump off this bus that got stuck along the Mogoro Bridge. The downpour that started on Friday morning carpeted the bridge.
rendering it impassable while endangering the lives of those who reside along the riverbank.
Kuna hata familia wanaishi tu karibu na hapa, na ikiendelea kunyesha itabidi tuwatoe karibu na kwa mto. So tunaomba Mheshimiwa Rais aangalie hii daraja iwekwe juu kidogo. Daraja la Makor Kibara kuelekea Soit kwenda sehemu za huko factory ya miwa itengenezwe hiyo, ndio ili mazao yetu kwenda huko Soit.
In Makueni, River Salt and Hamud also broke its banks on Friday, rendering the Nairobi-Mombasa highway impassable. Traffic was redirected to the Makindu-Wote-Machakos road to ease pressure on the highway. River Kwamuswi, which swept away 10 people in 2024, also broke its banks on Friday night. Meanwhile, the Kenya National Highways Authority has cautioned road users of flooding and silt deposits at Gedong Ranch, disrupting transport services along the Maimahi-Suswa-Narok road. The authority advised motorists to use the Ngong-Suswa road as an alternative, while calling on those already on the affected road to follow instructions by police and traffic marshals to avert any loss.
Alright, so you can see there is further instructions that we may have more floods and people need to be careful. And of course, I saw individuals at Gikomba actually struggling in a swamp of water. Let's look at this, guys.
That caused massive flooding in the capital of Nairobi due to poor drainage. In this other video, it is even more devastating. Cars worth millions are soaked in water. And this young man right here is trying to fight for his life after the bus he had occupied got fully submerged in the floods. Do not end there. As you can see, this is a road in Nairobi, but due to the floods, it has now turned into a river, and as you can see, cars are being swept away. And for this sad video, there was someone inside the car. In this video, these ladies went live on TikTok to request for help, at least a chopper, to come and uplift them from this area and try to save their lives.
We are here asking for your help. You can do this. You can do this. Please, Sakaji, if you can see this live, just share it.
The owner of this supermarket is counting losses after his business also got flooded, damaging goods worth of millions. From Nairobi CBD to South Sea, Dandora to Dagoretti, the floods are everywhere, and poor drainage in Nairobi is even causing more havoc. This is how one of the basement parking in Kilimani looks after the heavy downpour on Friday evening. Well, this is just sad.
Who is to blame for this? Of course, the government is to blame partly because of failing to consider the drainage system of Nairobi. Away from that, we can blame the current governor for failing to focus on safety of Nairobi because the floods were announced earlier, but he never took initiative. We can also consider the blame on the people who have been looting land. We've had a lot of indications about these leaders. Nothing has been done. What are the authorities for if all they are interested in is to grab land and build high-rising buildings instead of considering the safety in future? What about if this will be a continuous process? Many lives will be destroyed and property too. It's unfortunate, and I hope the solution will be found very soon to keep things at par. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching my channel. It's unfortunate. Let's keep praying for the people in Nairobi so that their lives is spared and the property too. It is quite devastating to see your beloved ones swept away, or actually to go collect their bodies in a morgue after such a moment of rains, causing a lot of maybe orphans and desperate people in the streets. Let's pray and hope that also the government will focus on changing the situation of the citizens of Nairobi. It's also unfortunate, traumatizing, to have your business swept away after you used all the money in your business. So let's keep praying. Thank you so much for tuning in to Edutainment for Us as we wait for more updates and hoping for the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.